What's up everybody, Moniz here, and the holidays are quickly approaching. Now for a lot of you out there, you're gonna be celebrating Christmas in a few weeks. People are gonna be taking time off work to go on vacation. So I thought this would be a perfect time to do a top 5 video on the best smartphones of 2015. I really don't think there are gonna be any more high-end phones being released between now and the end of the year. Now there are a few things I wanna mention. The first one is that I am keeping the Moto X Pure and the LG V10 out of this video because I actually didn't get a chance to review it. Since I'm in Canada, those two smartphones are not available. And the last thing I want to mention is that everybody's opinion is going to be different. These are my top 5 based on the reviews that I've done that I feel are the best smartphones of 2015. So let's start off with number 5. And number 5 goes to the LG G4. I was really impressed with the G4 this year. It really nailed pretty much everything on a smartphone, except for one area which I'll talk to you about in a second. It had a great display which was curved. It made the whole typing experience a lot better. It had a nice leather back cover which added a nice touch to holding the phone. And it was also removable, which means you can swap out the battery and put in a micro SD card to increase your storage capacity, which is very rare on a premium phone today. On top of that, it had an amazing camera, probably one of the best cameras on the market today, and it had pretty good battery life. Now the only thing holding it back was the UI itself. I found it to be a little too cartoonish and kind of displeasing to look at. Speaking of cartoonish UIs, that brings me to number 4, which is the Samsung Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge. I was really impressed with Samsung this year. They dropped their whole line of plastic smartphones and brought a beautiful, premium looking and feeling smartphone with metal and glass. Now inside of that smartphone is some of the fastest hardware on the market, which is Samsung's own in-house Exynos processor, which screams performance. On top of that, you have one of the best displays on a smartphone in 2015, an amazing camera, a physical home button, which I personally prefer, and overall, a very attractive package. And just like the G4, the UI is my least favorite thing about the device. I also find it very cartoon looking, and I find that it actually brings down the user experience on the phone by making it a little bit slower. Now Samsung has tidied up TouchWiz quite a bit, but I still think it needs a lot more work. And on top of that, a lot of users are complaining about aggressive memory management. So next up at number 3 is the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, and not the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, and the reason being is because the Note 5 is $100 cheaper and the Edge Plus really doesn't provide any benefit except for being some nice looking eye candy. Now the Note 5 does have one of the best designs on a smartphone to date. The curved back makes that 5.7-inch device feel smaller than it really is, and that's what I really loved about the Note 5. It's one of the bigger phones on the market, but doesn't feel as big as other 5.7-inch devices or even 5.5-inch devices. On top of that, you get an S Pen regardless of whether you use it or not. It's a handy thing to have in case you need to take a quick note or jot something down. And on top of that, you still get the same hardware that you have in the Galaxy S6 Edge and the Galaxy S6. You get that super fast processor, that amazing camera, and instead of 3 GB of RAM, you get 4. Overall, I was really impressed with the Note 5 this year. The iPhone 6s and the iPhone 6s Plus, with more of an emphasis on the 6s Plus. The 6s Plus has the better battery life. In fact, it has the best battery life that I've tested on a smartphone in 2015. I have no problems getting through the entire day and the night, and even some of the next day, because the battery life is so good and the standby time is top notch. On top of that, it has an amazing camera, it still has good build quality, it feels good in the hand, and overall it provides a very good user experience, especially if you buy into the Apple ecosystem. Now the reason why it's not number 1, or at least tied for number 1, is because of the price. It is a very expensive smartphone, and I feel that there's a lot better value out there. And finally, my number 1 pick of 2015 for the best smartphone goes to the Huawei Nexus 6P. This is the best Android phone of the year, hands down. It has an amazing design, a beautiful display using a Samsung AMOLED panel, which is pretty close to the one on the Galaxy Note 5, just a lot less brighter. And on top of that, you get dual front-facing stereo speakers that sound absolutely awesome, a premium build, a metal design which feels pretty good in your hands, and really good battery life. Now, never in my life have I ever used a Nexus phone that really nailed every single thing that I wanted in a smartphone. Usually the camera was bad, or the battery life was bad, or the build quality was cheap and plasticky, because the Nexus line usually in general was aimed at developers. And the best part about it is you're going to get updates as soon as Google releases them, along with all their security patches. Now, I would have had the iPhone 6s Plus and the 6s tie, or at least the 6s Plus tie with the Nexus 6P, but because the price difference is so huge, I feel you're getting a lot better value with the Nexus 6P. So those are my top 5 smartphones in 2015. These are the ones that I think are the best on the market today, which I recommend to people who are looking for a smartphone. Now, of course, your opinion is obviously going to be different from mine, so I want to hear what your top 5 is in the comments below. And again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, make sure to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next video.